This time I want to talk about alcohol and fat loss. There is a big misconception regarding alcohol that alcohol makes people fat. Well, that is not necessarily true, at least indirectly. So alcohol, it contains 7 calories per gram. It's one of the four macronutrients, which are alcohol, protein, fats, and carbohydrates. Anyway, so alcohol is considered as toxin or a poison in the human body. So when our body detects the presence of alcohol, its oxidation rate in our body is 100% efficient. So um, so what happens when we're drinking an alcohol is that for the average people who are drinking alcohol regularly, I mean, they're also consuming other macronutrients because, I mean, that's the real world. That's what happens in real world scenario. We eat mixtures of macronutrients, which are, protein, fats, carbohydrates, because that is what our meals consist of. So how does alcohol makes us fat? Indirectly. So there is a hierarchy on how our body process the four macronutrients. On the top level, it's always the alcohol. Since like I mentioned earlier, alcohol is considered as a poison in the body. So our body uses its full arsenal to get rid of the alcohol first if it's being detected in our bloodstream. So what happens then is our body shuts the metabolism of the other macronutrients, which are the protein, the fats, and the carbohydrates. So speaking of the hierarchy of macronutrient oxidation. So the first one, your body tries to get rid of the alcohol first, and then it's followed by the protein, and then the carbohydrates, and then the fats. So the oxidation rate of carbohydrates is kind of tricky because our body likes to burn carbs. It likes to use carbohydrates as a fuel. So the more we eat carbohydrates, the more our body uses more carbohydrates for energy. So fat, on the other hand, its storage efficiency rate is about 98%. So it doesn't really take much conversion for a dietary fat to be deposited as fat. Although of course it happens during the presence of calorie surplus. So speaking of the alcohol again, so when we're drinking, what happens is, like what I said earlier, your body shuts down the metabolism of the other macronutrients. And I've also heard of people that as long as your alcohol is factored within your calorie budget, I mean, it is true. As long as you stay within your calorie deficit, you're not gonna gain any excess weight or excess body fat at all. But here's the tricky part though. I mean, it's not all about weight gain, but there's also something that we call calorie partitioning. So if your goal is to walk, lean all year long, I mean, you want to minimize the amount of fat that is being deposited in your body. So when you drink alcohol, a good strategy is during that day, um, plan it in advance though. If you know beforehand that you're going to be consuming alcohol, you're going to be drinking with your friends, you're going to be going out in the club, in the bar, or etc. Plan that day ahead. Plan your diet composition on that day. So on that day, you're gonna be consuming. If you know that you're gonna be consuming alcohol, you might as well just consume lean proteins and those high fiber carbohydrates, such as those dark leafy green vegetables and you have to minimize your starchy carbohydrates intake, even fruits, or most especially the dietary fat though. So you have to really keep it on bare minimum. So on that day, keep in mind that it's gonna be a high protein diet and alcohol and almost pure fiber. So that's gonna be all your food intake on that day. So that's another reason why I personally drink alcohol on occasional basis, because it can sabotage, my privilege to enjoy other foods. The other thing, how alcohol affects weight gain and fat loss, is that alcohol has the tendency to mess our blood sugar levels. So I don't know if you've noticed that upon drinking alcohol, after drinking, you feel really hungry, because it can mess your blood sugar levels. So when your blood sugar levels crashes, it makes you really hungry. So that's why you kind of binge on food. So what happens in reality is you end up consuming more calories than you need. So there you go.